Y'all ready? Okay. Well, tonight, y'all ready? Okay. Well, tonight, since we are here, and I said I was going to try my best to be as simplistic as I can be. And tonight, a large, maybe portion of what I'm going to say is going to talk about worship because there is a battle for our worship. And everywhere we go, we can see people's worship. When you go to restaurants, you'll see Buddhists. You're coming into an arena of what people worship. We see it all the time. It's not just subjugated just to music alone. And tonight we'll get into it. And we're going to talk about worship. And I'm going to start in Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. I'm going to talk about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness, and then we're going to go into a place where we talk about worship. Because there are reasons why people elevate. There are reasons why people become rich. There are reasons where people are gifted. And tonight I'm going to show you why people have become rich, why people have become successful, and why people have the voice, me, that they have. Go to Matthew chapter 4. For time's sake, I'm probably going to read it all. Verse 1 says, Then Jesus was led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him to a holy city, and setteth him on a peninsula of a temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee concerning thee, and their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Verse 7. And Jesus said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Verse 8. And the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. And Jesus said unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall thou serve. I'm going to go back to verse 8. And again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Read it one more time. And the devil taking him up into an exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. Now, I said that because one of the challenges that was proposed to Jesus was, if you fall down and worship me, I'll give you these kingdoms of this world and also give you the glory of them. One of the first things in what happens in society, some people are going to get mad at me what I'm getting ready to say. The majority of R&B singers and secular singers, where did they start their ministries? They started their ministries in the church. They started their ministries in the church. Their ministry started, they were psalmists. They started in the church. I'll give you one prime example. Whitney Houston. Flawless in the church. But something had to be offered. See, when elevation come, elevation just don't come, and God opens the door to secular. There's a difference between secular and the sacred. She started out in the sacred, but she shifted over into the secular, and something offered her something, and all of a sudden she became Whitney Houston. And her voice was heard, but God never opened the door to the secular. He wanted to keep her in the sacred. And the enemy offered her something, and doors were open. And even though she had the voice of an angel, doors were open, and failure comes in. She dies before time. One of her last songs that she sung, I don't know how many views it got. And she was trying to make her way back. Trying to make her way back to where she started. But the enemy would not allow her because there was a vow that's made. Do you understand that he offered Jesus the kingdoms of this world and the glory of them? There was something that was offered. Many of the artists that we see, something was offered to them in order for them to have success. It was their worship. If you worship me, then I'll allow you to worship for me. Okay. I'll give you the vocal cords. I'll give you the lyrics. I'll give you the music, but you're going to have to fall down and you're going to have to worship me. Now, I said I was going to try to stay within the lines of simplicity. Go to Genesis. Where did music come from? This is a Q&A. Where did music come from? Where is the first time we see scripturally where music came from? Where was the first instrument? Where was the first instrument that was played, that was created? That was on the earth. Lucifer didn't need an instrument because he was. He had tapestries. He had pipes, so he knew how to orchestrate music. He knew how to make sounds. In Ezekiel chapter 28, but we're going to go to Genesis chapter 4 so I can give you an understanding. I'm going to go to verse 21. I wish I had time to read it all, but I don't, so I'm going to have to paraphrase some of this so because of time's sake. This is the first time that we ever get the liberty to see how music was created, how instruments were created. Okay? Jesus. And it said, and his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all which such as handled the harp and organ. How are organs created? In this time, they were primitive. Organ and the harp. This is the first time that you ever see music. Now, this is probably going to be the only deep thing that I say tonight, so just stay with me. This is the first time that it gives an illustration of the harp and of the organ. See, if I read to you this entire chapter, because these people, how did they create the harp and the organ and none of the people in Nod, in the land of Enoch where they built cities? How did these people create instruments and none of them were to serve God? So who were they playing music to? Who were they worshiping to? Because they were not worshiping God. Because God didn't get another child until Adam and Eve had a child, and that child was named Seth. And then that child was named Enos. And Enos is it. And then men began to call upon the name of the Lord. Cain was kicked out of Eden and went to the east. So nobody that was a part of Cain's lineage, a part of the generation with Cain, a part of his bloodline, nobody served God. So how did they create the music? And who were they worshiping with the music? Because they were using music to worship, but they wasn't worshiping God. So we have so many people that are playing the harp, that are playing the organ. And the most dangerous things that I've seen in church is we have people that don't even serve God that's playing music. And they're releasing spirits into the church because they can play good and the pay is good. It's the musicians that control the church. If you make the musicians mad, they can leave your church, and the pastors, oh, I'm sorry, okay. This ain't that night. This ain't that night. The music was created, but the music was never created to worship God. The harp was never played. The organ was never played. It was played, but it was never assigned to worship God because nobody in those cities, they worship God. So who gave them the idea of creation to be able to create the music? It was a generation that disobeyed God, and they were playing music to seduce people. Music, okay. Music seduces. Music corrupts. Music programs. Okay. It'll be okay. I said this in my book, In the Gates of Hell. I talked about the ear gates. It's one of the things that God gave me revelation on. Just say, for instance, you're going in the grocery store to get groceries or going to cook, and all of a sudden, there's music coming on while you got your little basket. You got your basket, and you went down aisle 7 and aisle 8, and a song comes on. And you're unaware that you're getting ready to be under attack because music is getting ready to be released that's secular. You're not guarding your ear gates. You're in the produce aisle. You're grabbing some greens to cook. Maybe somebody grabbed some greens. Maybe somebody will grab some greens. And all of a sudden you hear a song. and you never guarded yourself. You're hearing a song, and the song immediately, a song that you're familiar with, a song you used to dance to, and all of a sudden you find yourself pushing your basket. And you were unaware that the music just seduced you. Now your body is moving to the lyrics and the beat of the music. You're pushing the basket and you don't realize that you're under attack because the music now has entered into your body, entered into your spirit and your hands. You're not understanding that what came into your spirit has caused you to move. Music will seduce you. And one of the sad things, because you can listen to music, and when you listen to the music, that music can make you think back who you used to be with. One song will cause you to think back on somebody you used to be with from a long time ago. We used to listen to this song, and you'll start meditating. Okay. Because y'all used to listen to the song. Watch this. Y'all have been separated, but it'll start you thinking about the individual based on the song. And you'll start thinking about that individual based on the song. And sooner or later, because you end up meditating on the song and meditating on the person because of the song, sooner or later you'll run into that person. But music was the influence that opened that door, and you didn't know the spirit that was behind it. And we're sitting up here, I don't know, I just heard a song. And all of a sudden you get a phone call. You go to a grocery store, a gas station, and you run across the person. Because when the spirit of that music came in, it opened the door to have the person to locate you. So in church, we have secular musicians that play sacred because they're good at what they do. And this music, whether people believe it or not, and I have to give people scriptures, that when I say certain things, people struggle because it sounds too spiritual. But if David, in 1 Samuel chapter 16, can play his lyra, and an evil spirit that was connected to Saul moved, what was in David to where when he made a sound, that spirit knew the sound, and that spirit would leave somebody who was in authority, which was a king? What was in David's hands that when he played, spirits heard the sound of authority? Do you know that with everything that God does, it starts with a sound? On the day of Pentecost, there was a sound of a mighty rushing. There was a sound. Elijah, go down. He said, because I hear the sound of rain. Everything that God does, it starts with the sound. In Job chapter 38, I believe it's in verse 5, the Bible talks about how the stars were singing with the sons of God. It starts with the sound. How do you know Christ is coming back? It starts with a sound. The trumpet, there are sounds that take place. One of the greatest deceptions in the body of Christ. See, when you don't know and understand this, you'll get confused. It's that, and the enemy will even fool or try to fool the very elect. Because they will say that Christ had came. But how can Christ come if there's no sound? You're looking at the signs, but you don't understand the sound. Oh. It's the sounds. And so what the enemy has done, because how he was created in Ezekiel chapter 28, then he's given people power because they have bowed down to him, and he's given them the sound. Now some people that you know they couldn't sing, Couldn't sing their way out of a grocery store. Couldn't sing their way out of a paper bag. And now they got you had vocals. You went to class. But you would have never sounded like that if you didn't surrender. They are surrendering, and Satan is giving them the ability to be able to worship other people. Worship because they have worshiped. They've learned to worship him. So because of it, now he's giving them the sound so other people can worship them. Watch this. And he's bringing all of those that are going to the concerts. I'm already in trouble. So they already don't like me, okay. So I might as well continue. Two of America's famous artists. One is Beyonce. But as Beyonce is practicing, as Beyonce is practicing before she do her show, watch this. There's two spirits that come. One is called a spirit called Sasha. This spirit, I'm trying to tell y'all, this spirit is a seducing spirit that comes into her that teach her how to move her body. Beyonce said in one of her interviews, she can't dance, but there's a spirit that comes in me called Sasha. She even knew its name. So this spirit teaches her how to dance. It teaches her how to move. This same spirit, she said, called Sasha, will teach her how to move her hips. Watch this. And in one of her interviews, she's praying. And she's praying to the goddess of heaven. Not God, but now God is a woman. And everybody that's part of it, because in order for her to be successful, she had to bow down in worship. The enemy will normally give secular people who have become successful the kingdoms. He would give them nations. He would give them the glory of men. He would give it unto them. And many people have been seduced by this same spirit because they wanted success and they bowed down. And she was one of the ones that bowed down in order for her success. She started with the sacred. But she moved from sacred to the secular. And now she's found success. Well, I tell Jesus Christ. And everybody, watch this, it's not only singing the songs, but they're doing the same dance. So not understanding that they're being seduced in both ways. Because you have become a vehicle for this spirit when you sing the song. So you saying if you love me, you should have put a ring on it. And here's the thing. She's talking about her halo. And many people in Christ, see, when you start talking about Beyonce, the church will fight you. The people in the church would fight you. Y'all, please hear me. They have a Catholic church with a black pastor, priest in the Catholic church, making dedications and days to Beyonce and playing her music. She's contaminating the secular with the sacred. Saying she's giving her a day and listening to the music in the sanctuary. She's being seduced by these spirits, and she didn't understand you cannot mix the sacred with the secular. And the church will fight you because of her music. Don't you dare mess with Beyonce. I'm part of the beehive. Bzzz. But if you're part of the beehive, don't you know that bees lose their stinger, they die. You're talking about a hive and not understanding that hives are covens. And everything she produces is secular, and it has brought her success. And there are so many people that are seduced by her music, and they're under the wrong influence. When she came back to Houston, I seen so many people. I didn't even know she was here. I just saw thousands of people lined up to get in. Okay. Now y'all got to be mature when I get ready to, when I say this, because on stage, in one of her last concerts, if people didn't understand anything about her music and her sexuality, she had a stage developed where she had a vagina on it. It was in the shape of a woman's womb. And people don't know that these are portals to be polluted by perversion. You came and just thought it was a show. It wasn't a show, but these are portals. Travis Scott came, his last place he came was right here in Houston. And people went to the concert and not realizing that one of the things that he said on the concert, in the concert, is that he had to have sacrifices. And everybody's crowding around to the concert. They're crowding around to the concert. And people died because they needed blood. Somebody, Satan showed this mountain, took them to a place. And because he took them to this place, somebody bowed down and they worshiped him so that they can be worshiped. It was a portal that he had. He organized everything so it can be a portal to hell. And here's the thing. The mayor of Houston agreed to it, gave him a key to the city. The music was so strong, the influence, even influenced the mayor, where the mayor would give him a key to the city, which means authority. See, people don't understand what that means spiritually. How did you get a key to the city? He gives him a key to the city to allow spirits to congregate and take over children. There were children that had died. They needed sacrifices. And often we don't understand. You think it's just music, but why did kids die? Why were people trampled? And here's the thing. Because who he serves. Why didn't he get sued? They could not sue him. Because of who he served. And people are going right back to the next concert. Not realizing that they're bringing their bodies and the spirits that come from the music and the lyrics, these spirits are now inhabiting your body. So when you leave the concert, you leave with those spirits. If David can play his lyra and move spirits, people can play their music and spirits can come in. And because we have not been taught about worship, we have not been taught clearly about music, we think that we can listen and play any type of music we want, and it will not affect our spirit. There was a secular artist by the name of Little Uzi. Little Uzi. Pow, pow, pow. Uzi. And everybody is in the concert jamming. Doing the Running Man, just. Because of the lyrics, because of the beat, because of the hook. Everybody's jamming in the place. It's packed. They're moving. They are being seduced. Their bodies, everybody paid money and not realizing the second that you pay money and go into this, it's a covenant. And then to make matters worse, you're going to go on iTunes, get it on your MP3. You're going to download it, but you're downloading things right in your spirit when you pay for it. Watch this. You don't realize that you paid for it, but you're finna pay for it. You don't realize. So now once you download it, it's downloaded into you. Watch this. And in his concert, he stops the concert where everybody's everybody's there, and he said, let's get it. And these are the words he said. Since I don't see the rapture, how would you know about it? If you're secular, who told you about the rapture? We don't understand how people will confess. Since I don't see a rapture, and you've sung the songs 1,000,000 times, he said, y'all are going to hell with me. He's telling them, because you have been influenced by my music and the spirit is in you. He said, all of y'all are going to hell with me. And we're still thinking that it's safe and not protecting your spirit. Watch this. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, I think it's in the 33rd verse, he said, evil communication. It corrupts good manner. You think that music ain't a form of communication? So without you truly understanding that your mannerism is changing. Okay. Another secular artist by the name of Tupac. Everybody in their mother, father, they were trying to put something on their stomach called Thug Life. Because they heard how influential he was when it came to music. Because he said things that was right, but we heard through his music he was tormented. He would sing songs like, how long will they mourn me? I'm seeing killers come, and I'm having people doing drive-bys in my city. He predicted and prophesied his death through his music. One of the well-known artists, he dies. And Biggie does 2 albums. The first is Ready to Die. He's singing and you know me. I want you to hear the lyrics, because the first album he created was Ready to Die. The second album was Life After Death. On the second album, he's in the hospital. Puffy is in there crying to Big, don't die. And it went flatline. He dies the same way in the song. When Satan is finished, so are you. And we don't understand the severity of music. We don't understand the battle has been for your worship, and we keep giving our ear and our spirit to the secular, and we contaminate the sacred. And the church has tried to mix it. Do we have any idea? I wish I could take you to the book of Daniel. Daniel, I believe it's in Daniel chapter 4. Daniel chapter 3. The Bible said there was 3 people, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. the Bible said that they built a statue, a golden statue. Okay. Now, out of everything they would have done, they built the statue. Why did they need music? They said, when you hear the sound of the clarinet, the sackbut, the harp, we need you to bow down and worship the harp. Do anybody know what metal the statue was made of? The statue was made out of gold. In Ezekiel chapter 28, one of the metals that Satan had was gold. Watch this. So why do you think when you look at rap, why do you think they wear gold? And everybody now is trying to wear gold. Gold necklaces with diamonds in it. And one of the other was diamonds. So diamonds is now in the gold. It's some of the same characteristics that Satan had when he was Lucifer, when he was the head cherubim. So now when you see rappers, they're carrying the same stuff that Satan had when it comes to music. And people are bowing down when they see it. When Jay-Z walk in the room. Jay, hey, Jay. When Lil Wayne walks into the room. Okay. Now, this is going to be funny because do anybody know where Lil Wayne went to school? Yeah. Watch this. Do y'all know that Lil Wayne went to a Christian Catholic school when he was young? I know y'all didn't know that. I know y'all. But how did he shift from the sacred to the secular? His connections. And now everybody was now spitting the lyrics from Lil Wayne that he got when he bowed down and worshiped. Do research on some of this stuff that I'm telling you. What is this famous girl name? I'm trying to see all in all commercials and all of that. What's her name? I can't remember her name. Not Cardi B. No, Cardi B gone. She's been gone. She got more plastic than Walmart. So no, she's not. Kim Kardashian is not a singer. She just came here. Taylor Swift. Taylor, the one that said, Jesus, take the wheel. She sung the song. One song to get Christians involved in it. And everybody was singing, Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands. But at some point, she didn't give it back to Jesus. And now in her concerts, she's got demonic activity, opening portals now in her concerts, and everybody is flocking to her music. And now she's more popular than Beyonce. And just her appearance alone, her boyfriend plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Watch this. Travis, what's his name? Travis Kelce, watch. But when she comes to the arena, they take the cameras off the game and show her. See, I know that y'all think that this is not important or special. Do you know what kind of authority that you have that you will take it away from an NFL football game just to show you? Because of the influence of music. We don't, okay. Now, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and okay. Now, I know some people are going to get offended when I say this because I know a lot of pastors that listen to old music. Ain't no cussing in it. It's not. Teddy Pendergrass. Turn off the lights and light a candle. Yeah. Turn them off. Okay. And we say it's safe. Watch this. It's safe. But not realizing that he was gay. He was part of the LGBTQ. So every lyrics that come from his spirit, what is he releasing through the airwaves? We don't understand. Tevin Campbell. He was 13, 14, singing all over the world. But now he realized that he was part of the LGBTQ too. But he was that way, and people were gravitating, listening to his music, being seduced by it. But there was a spirit that was there that he was releasing when he was singing, but you didn't know it. Luther Vandross. Yeah. Beautiful songs. I want to dance with my father again. Beautiful songs that he would sing. But Luther was part of the LGBTQ. See, you don't know the spirits that were behind the song. Freddie Jackson. See, these are spirits that seduce people, that seduce the person that gave them success. So now when they're releasing their lyrics, we're all singing the same songs. Okay. So if he wasn't a part of the LGBTQ, now I'm going to say something that's going to really make people mad. Okay. I'm going to give you two people that's probably going to really make you mad. James Brown. Get on up. Mom. Watch. Hear what I'm saying. He did all the moves. Listen. I'm being comical because I'm trying to show you the severity and how serious it is. I'm being comical, but he carried the spirit of perversion. Slept with thousands, hundreds of women. And we were listening to his music, but being seduced. But a spirit was being transferred when you were listening to the music. Oh, I got you. You may have missed James because you didn't read the King James. Okay, I got it. But what about Mr. He? What about Michael Jackson? You're doing wrong. What about Dirty Diana? What about Thriller? Gifted. Gifted people that sung songs but were seduced only to seduce other people. And everybody had the glitter glove. Everybody had the red jacket. And some people had the curls. I want you to hear me. How that music influenced, watch this, a generation. That people were dancing just like Mike. And we thought it was cool to dance like him, but who seduced you? It was seduction. And you didn't realize how significant the music was. Okay, I know I'm going to really get some haters tonight. What about Prince? Mr. Purple Wayne wearing boots, high heels. Okay. Mr. Purple Rain. And many of us sung the songs. We did the dances, but we didn't understand that we were being seduced. I'll show you how connected you were to the person. When they told you they died, what was your response? Did you shed tears? Were you sad? Were you sorry? When they died, what happened? This showed you the soul tie that was connected to the spirit that the person was releasing. Because now you're having feelings for somebody you say you don't know. You don't know them naturally, but you know them spiritually because there's a connection. And you didn't understand. The connection and the soul tie that you were tied into that music. Okay. Now, people are really going to get mad at me when I say, y'all ready? Okay. Well, tonight, since we are here, and I said I was going to try my best to be as simplistic as I can be. And tonight, a large, maybe portion of what I'm going to say is going to talk about worship. Because there is a battle for our worship. And everywhere we go, we can see people's worship. When you go to restaurants, you'll see Buddhists. You're coming into an arena of what people worship. We see it all the time. It's not just subjugated just to music alone. And tonight we'll get into it. And we're going to talk about worship. And I'm going to start in Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. I'm going to talk about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness, and then we're going to go into a place where we talk about worship. Because there are reasons why people elevate. There are reasons why people become rich. There are reasons where people are gifted. And tonight I'm going to show you why people have become rich, why people have become successful, and why people have the voice, me, that they have. Go to Matthew chapter 4. For time's sake, I'm probably going to read it all. Verse 1 says, Then Jesus was led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him to a holy city, and setteth him on a peninsula of a temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee concerning thee, and their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Verse 7. And Jesus said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Verse 8. And the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. And Jesus said unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. We'll go back to verse 8. And again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Read it one more time. And the devil taking him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. Now, I said that because one of the challenges that was proposed to Jesus was, if you fall down and worship me, I'll give you these kingdoms of this world and also give you the glory of them. One of the first things and what happens in society, some people are going to get mad at me what I'm getting ready to say. The majority of R&B singers and secular singers, where did they start their ministries? They started their ministries in the church. They started their ministries in the church. Their ministry started, they were psalmists. They started in the church. I'll give you one prime example. Whitney Houston. Flawless in the church. But something had to be offered. See, when elevation come, elevation just don't come, and God opens the door to secular. There's a difference between secular and the sacred. She started out in the sacred, but she shifted over into the secular, and something offered her something, and all of a sudden she became Whitney Houston. And her voice was heard, but God never opened the door to the secular. He wanted to keep her in the sacred. And the enemy offered her something, and doors were open. And even though she had the voice of an angel,